Hi, everybody. How are you today? My name is Jen Rzasa, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew, and I also design a bunch of products, and I host a Tuesday challenge, and here we are. So welcome to Creative Challenges with Jen, and we are going to be diving into a brand new challenge this week. So if you're new to Altenew, welcome. We're so happy that you're here. Maybe you'll see something you love and you can get to know our company a little bit better. If you're new to our Facebook Lives, welcome once again. And we would love to see you during our lives. We have many throughout the week with many different hosts. So I'm sure you're going to be able to find something you like. And if you're new to my challenge, or my live, which is Creative Challenges with Jen, I'll give you a little bit of info on that. So there's going to be a brand new challenge every week to help get you thinking outside of your typical creative box. I know that these stretch my own creativity and stretch the way I use my supplies. And the challenges are just a fun way to maybe get out of a crafty rut or to make some time for yourself with intention. Like, maybe I'm busy this week, but I really want to get a chance to play along with that challenge. So I'm going to set aside some time for myself so I can get crafty. And with me here is my wonderful moderator behind the Altenew badge. We have Angel, and I'm seeing some of you are already sharing. So that is fantastic. If you share while we're live, so share this video during the live broadcast, you will be entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. If you share it after we're live, thank you. We love the share. However, you won't be entered to win unless you do it while we're live, because right after I sign off, and we're going to go back in and randomly pick a winner who shared either via the YouTube link or the Facebook link. And then that person's going to win a $15 gift certificate. And if you don't win that, don't fret, because you can also win for playing along with the challenge. So hello to Kim. Hi to Betsy from Illinois. Susan, Sharon, Christine, Xiomara, Carrie. Oh, so many people today. I love it. Familiar and some unfamiliar. Oh, Nancy's here today, and it is sunny in San Francisco. Love it. It is sunny here today in Massachusetts as well. So I love when the weather is good. It was beautiful out so far today, and it looks like the rest of the week has rain in the forecast. So I'm hoping maybe things change around. Rebecca got some crafting goodies, and she got the leaf medallion that we used. That's great, especially since that's an older set. So it shows that the older sets can still get love and still be relevant to your crafting today. And Cindy is here, and Susan shared. So thank you so much, Susan. All right, let me show you what I ended up finishing last week, because that's the other thing about my challenges is I'm always saying you don't need to finish, because I rarely finish during the live anyway. So how could I make you finish your projects if I don't even finish mine? So while we were live, I did my best to get all my ink blending and die assembly done. And we got that part done, but unfortunately, it never actually made it to the card. So here is the finished card that I did last week. So our theme was Hue, H-U-E. Hue had me at hello, and it's to do a monochromatic card. And I went ahead and picked pink. So I have my beautiful pink blooms, and I have some pink glitter and some pink gems. So everything really came together well. I love how it looks with the framed die cut. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this one came out. And I also have my pink envelope, okay? Because if you're doing a monochromatic project, it's nice to also have an envelope to match. And your projects, always, they're fantastic, but I loved checking out and seeing which colors people were using. And I feel like blue was the standout. I think most people utilized blue as their color. So that was fantastic too, to see all the different projects with their monochromatic color tones. And I do have a winner to announce. So let me just go ahead and, oh, thank you guys. You're commenting on my card. I appreciate it. I worked hard on it. Love it. So let me just go and share so you guys can see who the winner is this time around. And we have The winner is Christine Gardner. So this is Christine's project. And I told you that there were a lot of blues, and Christine was one of the blues also. There were other colors as well, of course. A lot of the colors were represented. I saw some beautiful greens, a yellow card, like just some really nice stuff. But I loved the muted blue tones of the card here with all the beautiful flowers and just kind of a grayish blue tone. I thought it was really peaceful, calming, beautiful hello card that I'm sure anybody would really love receiving in the mail or if it's hand delivered. So Christine, thank you so much for sharing. And then all you need to do is email us at winner@altenew.com and we will hook you up with your prize. So just mention that you were the winner on the creative challenge. And we are going to jump into a new one today. So yeah, congrats again. This is just beautiful. All right. So for today, the new challenge is Acute challenge. Now, not a space C-U-T-E, cute, but it is cute, but acute, like an angle. Like a mathematical joke. So we have a cute challenge today. And the reason why we're doing a cute challenge is because I want you to incorporate triangles. Now, if you need to brush up on your geometry, you can go ahead and do that. But an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees. So 90 degrees being like this, and then that's acute. Okay, so a smaller angle. So acute triangles would have the acute angles in them. My phone's buzzing. Let me just get that out of the way so it doesn't interrupt anymore. Triangle madness, Rebecca. That's really funny. Yeah, so we have that challenge today. And I really wanted to do something, again, outside of the box, a little bit more I don't want to say more creative than just simply using products with triangles, because obviously that's also creative. But I've got a bunch of stuff here. Let me pop you down and I'll show you what I have. Again, I have no like clear vision yet, but I do have some stuff that I thought would be fun for us to experiment with. And I'll talk through some of the ideas I had, and maybe that'll help inspire something that you're going to use on your project that I hope you create. And again, it doesn't have to be a card. So if you're not a card maker, don't worry. I'll be making a card, but you can make whatever you want. And then I'll just pick a direction to go in and we'll craft together. And then when time's up, I'll show you what I've got so far. Maybe it'll be done this time. I think I've finished a couple times. It's not always incomplete at the end of our life, but it often is. And then next week, you'll get to see the card again, and hopefully it'll be in a better state of completion by then if we didn't finish it today. So little camera switcheroo right over here. Oh, we are crooked, wild and crazy. Okay. Let's get that situated first. I must have knocked into this guy. Okay. So let's first start with the clear triangle situations. Okay, so we do have some triangle products. Like one of our earliest products was a stamp set called Sokotoa, which also is a math reference. We have a trigonometry set, again, mathematical geometry references. But I was trying to think of products that have triangles in them, but aren't necessarily named triangle. So if you're going through your stash, you might not have anything that says triangle, but you can find triangles in supplies that you do have. So this is the Chocolate Flowers 3D embossing folder. And you can see that in each of these squares, we have some triangles across the angle. So there are these lines cutting across, which helps to create the triangle. So that was something I'm considering using. And we have the textured hexagons. So the primary shape here is a hexagon. You can see I'm outlining it right there. However, we do have some triangles that come into view. Okay, so there's one with the wider lines, and here's one with the more narrow, finer lines. So again, even though this isn't a set that's called triangle, we can find triangles in the design. This one, we have to be a little bit more investigative to find our triangles, but this is the circuit board stencil. And the circuit board stencil does have some triangular patterns in it. So we have triangular elements right here, triangles right here. If I look around, I can find little areas where we have incomplete triangles, like that's almost a triangle. So you can find triangles in a lot of different products that you have. So these were some of the geometric ones that I pulled out. And then I was also thinking, how can I use triangles in an unexpected way? So these products don't feature triangles whatsoever, but I was thinking, what if I created a blended background and then cut triangles from that, either large triangles or small triangles, and piece them together somehow on my card. So maybe I'll do a combo of the both. Is like I might do some ink blending on a pattern and then also use some texture from one of these folders, or maybe some light tone on tone ink blending with the stencil, just so that the focus stays on whatever product I choose as my primary stencil. And then I have some background. So that's just those ideas that are floating in my head. So maybe as I explained all of that, you start having those ideas. Oh, I've got these products. I could use triangles in this way. So I grabbed the citrus fruits pattern stencil set because it creates a really fun background summary pattern. And I thought that would be a nice one to cut triangles from because the elements are really small. So any triangle would still have a nice portion of the design. So we've just got like lemons and some cups and ice, just like that. The Dynamic Duo Dainty Roses. I didn't pull the stamp set. The stamp set adds like black lines like this. You can see the little black stamped details, but I really like the vintage, almost like a fabric style of these flowers. And I thought it'd be really fun to make patterned paper on my own, just kind of stenciling these in different areas, getting a background, and again, cutting some triangles from it. So that's a strong possibility. Similar to the citrus fruits, I grabbed the Sugar Rush stencil set, which is another background set, only this one creates little candies. And my favorite here are the little gummy worms. Do you guys like those sour worms? It's like trolley bright crawlers, I think they're called. They are so good. I love sour candy. So these really make me laugh that we have these on this set. And then some other florals. So the Stencil Art Playful Watercolor Flowers creates this beautiful floral background. Again, I can cut triangles from that. And then the flower bed. So that's another one that would be an all over background that I can cut sections from. However, as I'm going through these, I really think I'm leaning mostly towards the Dainty Roses. And then if we have time, maybe some citrus fruits. So I'll start with the roses. And then I'm thinking maybe the textured hexagons, but we've got the other stuff here at the ready just in case. And I'm not the only one who loves sour candy, I see. Love that. Okay, so let's start out with our Dynamic Duo. And I love that we're doing more stenciling because it is so fun to stencil. I'm telling you, layered die cuts and stenciling are my favorites. Like, I still love stamping. You know, I'll always have a place in my heart for stamping, but I just really love the ease of stenciling and layered die cuts. So if you've noticed the last few weeks, I've had a trend of that. Don't worry, we'll get back to stamping soon. You know, I don't completely neglect my stamps. Don't worry about them. All right, so again, I'm looking for an all-around pattern. I think I might go with a horizontal card. Now I'm just popping this onto my sticky mat. This is the 9x12 sticky mat. And I'm going to take a look at the packaging here for the Dainty Roses, because you'll see we have a layering guide. Okay, just like that. Now it does make a pretty large arrangement. So I think I'm going to start with having this like right over here. The beauty of stencils, by the way, and I feel like not a lot of people remember this, even though it's pretty obvious, is you can flip it and get the mirror image. I know we never think of it that way, especially now that Altenew for many years has been doing the etched guidelines. You know, the text is the right way when you're looking at over here and you think, oh, it's wrong if I go like this. No, it's fine. You get the reverse image. So maybe we'll use that to our advantage as we do the ink blending. Just again, I'm trying to get an all over inked look so that I can cut my triangles then and still have something usable. I wouldn't want to say, oh, here's a little triangle that just has a bit of a leaf on it. That's not a very interesting look. Carrie is saying layer die cuts are my favorite, closely followed by ink blending through stencils, whether there's stamping involved or not. Yeah, I agree. There's just something about that. And as stencils have gotten better and better with the layering stencils and the builder stencils, on our website, we have all of our stencils organized by category like that. So you could find what you're looking for. And I just feel like everybody, like Altenew and of course other companies, have just stepped up the stenciling game. So there are a lot of different ways that you can use stencils. Okay, so I'm going to start. You could see too, I mentioned that stamp set. So you would add these details with the stamp set. It is completely optional. You'll still get a really nice look. And then there are some layers. It says rotate stencil 45 degrees clockwise for this layer. So of course, if we end up doing it flipped, we'll have to remember to go counterclockwise the other direction to complete those stenciled areas. Okay. And I've got this big image just to use as reference. So let's just start. I'm going to kind of do the same orientation that we have here. So I'm going to begin right in this area. I'll just bring that up a little bit. And let's pick out some ink colors. Let's go with Rose Quartz, Puffy Heart, and Purple Wine for these first few layers. And I will just quickly grab an ink blender. And I'll use some Rose Quartz for this first layer. And again, what's nice about our sticky mats is they will hold your ink pad in position. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly do a little bit of blending. I know it's a little hard to see. It's coming up very light on the camera. It is light. Colors don't always come out perfectly through the screen, but I can absolutely see what I've got going on here. And when I ink blend for flowers especially, I purposefully do not ink it all the way. So you see I have some areas that are a little bit lighter than others. If I wanted to make it more consistent, I can go in and just add more color to make it look more consistent. However, I like having that variation because I feel like it makes it a little bit more realistic. So first layer is down. Now I'm just going to line this up. And I'm just using the same ink blender, but I'm going to jump into Puffy Heart now. Okay, and you know, these ink blending brushes, the minis, are absolutely my favorite. But if you wanted to use the small ink blending brushes, I think that would be perfect here as well. Another good size. Now there are some small delicate pieces, so I don't want to be too aggressive as I'm inking those areas because I might end up having them shift a little bit. So I'm just going to put my little finger here on those delicate areas just to keep it stabilized and not moving around too much as I ink. Just like that, and then around the corner right there. And you could see already just those two steps, and it is coming together beautifully. Okay, now we're moving to our third layer and setting that into position. And now this is really going to help everything pop. This one's a little bit more stable. I don't have to worry as much about the delicate parts in the center. Okay, so we already have that. And it's funny, I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to ink up everything. You have these other details here. I think it's going to be easier for me to create like a background pattern, like I'm imagining, without having all the extra bits and pieces up here. So I'm just going to focus on the 2 flowers and then these 2 clusters of leaves, just like that. The image doesn't have triangles on it, but the embossing folders and stencils. Yes. So I know if you're just joining in, you're like, wait, this isn't triangles. I know. So I'm going to be hopefully cutting some great triangles out of the paper that we create right now. I'm just creating a little background paper with some ink blending. And I do have some triangles in these other products. So maybe I'll even just set that here. So if someone's just joining, they'll be like, okay, those are the triangles. I see them. Now, let me just give this a quick wipe down because I know I'm prone to getting ink where I don't want it. So cleaning this up a little bit first is definitely going to help me in that capacity. And I'm going to go in with the leaves. Okay, so you can see here, we've got the leaf cutouts, and I'm going to place them into position. Okay, now just like this. Perfect. And I think for the greens, let's do aloe vera, matcha tea, osmoke, swamp green, and osmoke. Moss oak. I'm also looking at my phone that's making all this noise, and you guys, it's Tasneem. Tasneem is messaging me, and I want to message her back, but I'm like, I don't want to take the time, obviously, during the live to do that. I'm not going to do that, but I want to tell her I see your messages. I'm not ignoring you. Okay, so the leaves have 2 different color layers. So I'm actually going to skip the aloe vera, and I'm going to start with the matcha tea. And just as before, adding some ink blending. Carrie says you may need to answer that. I know I'm not seeing any like emergency 911 in the messages, so I think we should be okay. Let's hope. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing while we're live. We just have these little leaves down here. Okay. And once again, just as before, I'm intentionally not inking it to be completely smooth. I want to have those little shaded areas and those highlights. I'm also skipping the little like stem. There's a stem right here. So I'm just inking around it because I'd rather not have that stem there. And I'm going to ink this little tiny right there, those little leaves. Okay, I'm skipping the other ones. Again, we're going to be creating more ink blended flowers on this. So I'm going to leave it just like that. And then we're going to go in. Oh, I did get the stem a little bit. That's okay. With the next color, which will be the swamp green. So we finished the matcha tea, and now we have swamp green. I love stencils. They reveal the image gradually, like a hidden picture coming to life. Yes, you are correct, Angel. It definitely is like that. There are certain times when, you know, I feel like the magic of crafting. Heat embossing is one of them. And the first time I did heat embossing, it really was like magic. Like, are you kidding me? Like that stuff melts and now it's shiny and beautiful. Like I did that, really? That's so cool. So that's one of them. I think the layered stenciling and layered stamping also do the same, like magic. Also, anytime I put down like masking tape to act as a mask and then I peel it off, that's another magic moment. So, so exciting. The simple things, you know, that get us so excited. So we have our beautiful flowers. So now let's see how we can get some more. I can also isolate these leaves and just ink up random leaves to fill in certain places. Like we're just trying to create like a background paper, a pattern paper. And I want to just clean up a little bit right here where I have the green ink. Especially if I plan on flipping my stencil, I want to make sure that that's nice and clean. Okay, so let's do a stencil flip. Okay, so the layering guide is going to be a little bit harder to follow if you're like really following closely. I do have a tip for that though, is take a picture with your phone and flip the image. So you can do it with any like layering stencil. Unfortunately, with stamps, you can't flip them. With dies, it depends on how the die cuts look, because if you have a lot of experience with die cutting, you'll know that there's usually like a little lipped edge. And if you flipped it over, you could see that little ridge where it was cut. And then sometimes if your plates are real scratched up on the bottom side, you'll have all those scratches showing too. So with die cuts, it's a little bit harder. But for stencil, it's great to flip. And then if you want to just take that little picture, flip the image, then it's a lot easier to follow. However, this is a very simple image to layer. So I think it'll be okay. So now I'm just going to think of where I want to place this. Let's just put it right over here. And I'm going to use the same colors. Let's get my ink out of the way. If you really want to have a colorful background, you could definitely go in with new colors, but I'm just going to do the same process that I did before, starting with the rose quartz. Now, I do have a lot of ink left here on my brush. So what I can do is just brush it off onto a scrap of paper. So I'll just take another little piece here, just so that I'm not contaminating the lightest pink with the darker pink. So that's quick and easy. And now I can go back in. You might see it's slightly darker than originally, but that does not bother me. I've mentioned before that I do not have an ink blender for every ink. And some people do. And if you are one of those people who are looking at me like I'm crazy as I dip the same ink blender into different inks, then you can be sure to have an ink blender for every color, and that's fine. Okay, we're going to close this one back up. Next is our puffy heart. And just going to pop that right here. And then I think we'll probably get some more leaves and then maybe one more flower arrangement. Then we can see how we're going to cut our triangles, because I've got to see how the pattern looks before I decide how I'm going to cut the triangles, because I want to make sure it looks pretty how I cut it. And if you are just joining us, we are doing a Acute challenge today. Acute as a reference to acute angles. Okay, let me not get my caps mixed up here. All right, here's the puffy heart. Okay, and the purple line. And it's coming out very cute. Okay, here is the last layer. Now, those of you who are watching, I'm curious if you like to create geometric projects or if you like more organic, like flowers and nature. Because I do like that this one is going to be incorporating both. So we'll get the best of both worlds. We'll get some organic looks, and we'll also get the structure from geometry. Okay, move that over. Again, cleaning this as I go along so I don't get ink where I don't want it. And if you see, I do actually have a little splotch where some wet ink made its way. I'm not worried about it. If that does bother you, then make sure to dry your stencils completely between inking them, especially if you're going to flip it over as I did, because you don't want to have that cross contamination. But for a live situation, I'm not going to take time to dry my stencils. It's not worth it. All right, before I do the greenery, I'm going to ink up a few more flowers because I think the greens are like the way the leaves are, they're going to be great to just fill into random areas. So I am going to do the flowers first and just finish these up. Sue says she likes everything. It just depends on the mood. Carrie does more floral projects, sometimes geometric for masculine cards. Yeah, I think that is definitely a safe route to go if you're creating a masculine project. Not all guys like flowers. Many of them do. So don't feel like flowers are off limits if you're creating a masculine project, because there are many men who would like to have flowers on their projects that they receive. But I do understand that it might not be your go-to when creating for a guy. So having the option to do a geometric project does help. Okay, just kind of pouncing that on. Again, where the delicate areas are. I don't want to be too aggressive with my blending. Moving along to layer 2. And then, yeah, I will just do like maybe some more flowers up here, then fill the rest up with some leaves. Geraldine, thank you for sharing to your YouTube channel. We appreciate it. All right, just deepening this look here. And one more. When you don't have the whole stenciled image, it's a little harder to find where it fits in. But again, this one's not too hard to layer up. Wow, my phone is still going crazy. And it's not just Tasneem now. There are other people messaging. I think I need to put up a do not disturb next time I go live, just so it's not vibrating. Hopefully you guys don't hear it though, but it is pretty loud over here. And I'm loving how these look. Again, this is from the Dynamic Duo set. It's the Dynamic Duo Dainty Roses, which does come with a coordinating stamp set, but you really don't need it. These look great on their own without the stamped details. Okay, just let this a little bit. Yeah, Deb says, what stamp stencil? I did just show it. So this is a Dynamic Duo. It is, again, I think one of an older ones of ours. And we have the stencils, but it also has an optional, well, it comes with the stamp set, but I see the stamp set as being optional. Some of our Dynamic Duos, the stamp set is more essential to finish the image, but I don't think it's needed here because it looks great on its own. All right, we'll go back to flipping the other direction. I keep thinking like, oh, I'm almost done with the flowers, but now there's like this whole other section here that's going to need flowers. Luckily, it is pretty quick to ink them up. And inking off again, just onto some scratch paper. And there is something wonderful about triangles that I think is just so visually appealing. I think it's called it's called like the visual triangle. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Sometimes my brain doesn't function at full capacity when I'm live or ever, you know. But it's just the design concept that states that things in triangles, like if you wanted to put 3 elements or different elements together, you would have 3 points of interest, right? So that's going to help create a nice way for your eye to try to travel around the canvas or the card or whatever it is that you're creating. And they are just visually pleasing. So if you want to do that for your triangles, you can too. So you don't have to have triangles or cut triangles. You can have a visual triangle. So if you post about that, just let me know and say like, oh, I put my focal points in a triangular shape. So that would be satisfying the challenge if you did that. So you don't have to have like an obvious triangle on your project. Okay, lining this up here. The other thing I love about stencils is you can see through them very clearly. I love stamp layering, but sometimes it's a little harder to see what you're doing through the stamp and the acrylic block, or the stamp and the stamp platform. Like if you're using the stamp wheel, there we go, or other stamping platform, it's a little hard to see, but the stencils are really easy to see through. Carrie does her embellishments in triangles. Yeah, it's like one of those rules that if you follow it, it actually works a lot. And I have trouble with embellishment placement very frequently. I feel like I hadn't done embellishments for a lot of my crafting life. And then I really got into enamel dots, and like our gem sparkles are so pretty, and then even sequins. So I've been trying to incorporate more in my projects, and I follow that triangle rule all the time because it really does help with placement. Rebecca says gem embellishments could be additional triangles. You're right. If you place them cleverly, that's a great idea. Some of you guys are so creative. I wouldn't be surprised if I see a project that it's like, I incorporated triangles in like 7 different ways. Loving that. And then, yeah, we'll just do one more pair of roses right over there and then fill it up with greenery. And once we do that, we can think about how we're going to slice this up to create our triangles. Since I'm flipping, I need to once again clean this fairly well. If I wasn't live, I would definitely recommend even like putting in the sink, getting it wet so you know it's really clean, and then letting it dry before you flip it. But, you know, we all get impatient. So just, and let it dry out like this. It looks good. And which way should we go? Should we do it backwards, forwards? Really doesn't matter. Okay, let's go kind of at an angle right over here. Going back into the rose quartz. Also going to brush off the excess. And Jackson says, I'm a quilter and I use that triangle concept with color to keep your eye going around the quilt. Otherwise, your eye is drawn to one place. Oh, that's really cool. Absolutely. I think a lot of artists, whether you do fiber arts and quilting or paper crafts or fine arts, that rule is ever present, and it really works. Okay, I think this is going to be great. I'm loving how these are coming out. And I think I'm going to do probably a white background, but and then use the textured hexagons to emboss it. But I am contemplating, like I am very drawn to white. I think it's a safe cardstock to use. I am a clean and simple crafter, so white gets utilized quite a bit in my craft room. However, as the challenge is about getting out of your comfort zone, maybe I should try a colored cardstock instead. We shall see. And then the last layer right here. Oh, I wasn't perfectly aligned. That's okay. I think I can fix that with this darker layer, covering up the spot where it wasn't quite where I wanted it. Purple line. And the dark color just really helps it come to life. Whenever you're doing layered inking, if it's ink blending like this or layered stamping, I just love the final layer, how it brings the life to it. Boom, looking good. Okay, now let's add a lot of greenery just to fill in all those empty spaces. If you look at the layering guide or at the first example I did, the flowers have the leaves coming out from the sides and the bottoms here, but I'm not going to worry about that. Just I want to fill in the empty space. So I'm going to be flipping and rotating the leaves just to fill as best as I can. Now, this is just a great way to create patterned paper in general. I used to buy a lot of patterned paper when I first started crafting, and it was so pretty that I would just hoard it and not use it, which just goes against buying it in the first place, right? Why are you going to buy something if you're just going to hoard it? But it felt like I could never justify when it was special enough to cut into this special paper. So I still have stacks and stacks of pattern paper from so many different companies just going unused. But I find if I make it myself like this, then for some reason, it doesn't bother me to cut into it. It's like I could always make more if I needed to. It's no big deal. I've got the stencils. I could do it again. But I wonder if any of you guys are product hoarders like I am. Okay, let's look at these leaves. The other thing you can do if you want to cover up certain areas is I'm just going to take a piece of tape. This is just a piece of satin masking tape that I had from a previous die cutting session. And I'm just going to cover up that little bit of the flower because I don't want to get ink there. Now we're starting with the matcha tea. Make sure I don't use my wrong ink blending brush. This is the one I have for the green. And now that little piece of tape is just going to protect that area. So you can see there. Now, again, there's just this little rounded part right here because that's supposed to tuck into this flower. Doesn't matter. No one's going to question that. It looks like a leaf, maybe a leaf that has a little chunk missing from it. That's fine. And using this swamp green for the second. Geraldine hoards the Mina Classic Crust. Oh, the 110 pounds. It's expensive. Yeah. That's true. I get that. Cost is definitely something that drives hoarding, I think. Okay, same little piece of tape. Just moving it here. Again, you guys are probably like, when are the triangles happening, Jen? This is a cute challenge. It's not cute that you're not using triangles yet. We'll get there. We will get there. And if I have to abandon some of this ink blending, that's fine. But I think we can definitely fit a few more leaves. We're quick about it. Let's do this like that right here. Why do I keep opening and closing my ink pads? Duh, just leave them open. Okay. I could probably sit here all day just filling in all those little areas with more leaves. It's very fun. Very calming. Okay, there we go. That looks beautiful. And then let's just leave it. I don't want us to run out of time to actually get to the triangles. So we'll call that good enough. I love how it looks. Really, really pretty. I could always add more later if I have time. Just peel this off, quickly tidy up. And then let's talk about slicing this piece here. So again, I want to keep interest or an interesting triangle. I don't think I'm going to cut the triangles too small. I might even just do like 2 large triangles. If you want to visualize where to cut, you can always take something like this, right? This would be a really terrible triangle to cut, right? However, doing it this way would be a lot better because that's more interesting, right, than this. So you just have to play around with it and see where you want to cut. That's also pretty good. I wish I had time to ink more leaves. I think I will start with this. I'm just going to cut it right across that way. Do I have space to bring my paper cutter onto the table? All right, get out of here, ink. You're in my way. Okay, so first triangle is getting cut. Boom. Just like that. So yeah, this little piece that I was using as scrap, you could see now I have a nice little triangle there. Okay, let's cut another triangle to put. Okay, I'm going to cut a right angle here, flipping it over. This will make sense. Okay. So I have a right angle, and I'm going to cut another triangle to be up in this corner. So how do I want that to go? Let's do it like that. Ooh, it's going to be a big triangle. Okay. Just slicing right across. Now these other areas I could definitely save for another project. Okay, I think that's actually pretty cool. All right, so I will have to trim this overhang when I do it on my project. I could also do something like this. Oh, that's cool. All right, now I think I'm gonna go with my original plan of going like that, because I kind of like this interesting shape it makes in the middle. Not quite a triangle, but definitely interesting looking. Okay. So here are my patterned triangles, and I have my hexagons, which I'm going to do in the background, because again, the hexagons have triangles here, so you can see where they are. If you missed my little spiel at the beginning, I was telling you to look at your products carefully, because you will find triangles where you maybe don't expect. If I was saying, oh, this is a hexagon set, you might not think you'd find triangles, but sure enough, there they are. And I would love to do white, because that's just who I am, but let's get some colored cardstock instead. Let's maybe get a little pop of the unexpected. I think the olive would look really pretty behind this. Okay, so let's do that. Because I want to stretch my creativity as well. So I'm just going to cut an A2 panel of this quickly. And I'm doing it off camera just because it's easier than bringing my paper trimmer back. But that's all that's happening on the sidelines over here. So 5.5 by 4.25. Now this is an intricate folder. So I'm curious how it's going to do, how the green cardstock is going to hold up. But if it does crack too much, another thing you can do is just take a little water. Like I always have a little spray bottle with me of water. This is our fine mister bottle that we sell. And I just spritz the cardstock before I put it in. But again, since I'm live and we're like running out of time, I'm not going to do that. But if this comes out cracked at all, that would be my next step, would to be to mist it. And also my die cut machine is also off camera. So I will step aside and do that. I'm still here, but just going to run this through. I have the Gemini Junior nearby, so I've got the sandwich for that, for my 3D dies. Okay, it's going through. Coming out. Oh, it did a great job. Okay. No need to spritz it anyway. There is no cracking. And I see some advice here. Why don't you move each of your cut pieces clockwise 1 corner? That way you won't have to trim the bigger piece. Smart. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you, Michelle. I originally had wanted, oh yeah, you guys, you are so smart. That's perfect. I was like, why? I don't want to do a vertical orientation card. I said I wanted to have it horizontal, but yeah, here we are. It's horizontal. Okay, so that's probably the setup I will do. Thank you so much for that advice. Now you can see the triangles are happening, okay, right? This whole time we're like, wait, when are the triangles coming into play? Well, here we go. It's happening. It's happening, and it's going to happen in time. We might not get a sentiment on it yet, but everything else is happening on time. You guys, if I finished my project in time, that would be amazing, but I really don't think so. I'm seeing we have 5 minutes left, so let's see what we get done. Okay. I will just cut this guy in half here so that I can kind of wedge it into that little area like this, just to get that point as best as I can. Just shove this here. That should be okay. Yeah, Carrie, it is a cool background. I agree. I love geometric backgrounds. And again, I love the geometric look with flowers because the organic flowers are just kind of inherently opposite to geometry. And again, that's not completely true. There's plenty of geometry in nature and in flowers, but just on first glance, you know, you don't see that geometry. But oh wow, this is again an arrangement I would never do normally. So it took this challenge to get me to try something new like this, and I really love it. And I'm glad I went against my better judgment, because the white backgrounds I think wouldn't be as exciting looking because of the white behind the stenciled pieces. So just going ahead with the green I think really helped. And again, that cardstock is the olive. So this is one of the Crafty Necessities cardstocks, which I love. I love all of the Crafty Necessities. They are necessities, even for this person who uses so much white cardstock. Thank you, Sue. I'm getting some encouragement from Sue. I'm doing great. Thank you. You know, we did that timed challenge a few weeks ago where we had the 20-minute challenge, but I feel like all of my challenges on live are timed challenges. Constantly looking at the clock, like, but I'm glad you guys don't mind when I don't finish. Okay, let's get that in the corner. Love it. Oh, okay. So this is what we have right now. I am going to need to wrap it up because we've got 2 minutes left, but I'm glad you could finally see my triangle vision here. So this is a cute challenge, and because I have, actually I have acute triangles, not that right triangles, but there's an acute angle here. And I used the stencil set, the Dynamic Duo Dainty Roses, not with the stamp set, just with the stencils, and created my background. I do have some leftover pieces of paper that maybe I can figure out how to use on another project. And we did some background with the Textured Hexagons 3D folder, which does have some triangular elements, so you can see those triangles present in the background. And I think I might need to also add some embellishments in a triangle. If you want to see how this card gets finished, please check out next week's live. If you can't join us live, and here, let me just pop my face up so you guys can see me. Oh, and you can see my mess. And all the wigs and all the heads. I'll just go closer so you don't see as much of the background. No. If you want to see the dramatic conclusion, how is this card going to look with a sentiment and maybe some embellishments, come back next week. And if you can't join us while we're live, please watch the replay. You've got seconds left to share this live today if you would like to be entered into a chance to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store, because once I sign off, we will be selecting a winner, and that lucky person will just need to contact us to redeem their prize. And if you want to join into Acute challenge and create a project with triangles, it could be triangles like I have triangular shaped pieces of paper, I have a triangle pattern in the background, or you can use the visual triangle and place your elements in triangle shapes. You can also stamp triangles, draw triangles. Just if you don't have anything with triangles and you want triangles, get a pen out and draw some triangles on your project. I know you guys are creative. You'll find some really great ways to incorporate the triangles into your project. Make sure that you use our hashtag so I can find your project. So that is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And that's how I'll be able to check them all out. And I can't wait to see them. Next week, we'll have a brand new challenge for you. And thanks again for Angel for being behind the Altenew badge, popping in all the links and answering any questions of yours that I may have missed. I really appreciate it. So we will see you next time. And I hope you all have a wonderful and crafty day. Bye-bye.